Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawahir al-Quran with the Jews of the Quran is spells. We have reached Surah Al-Ra'd. We have, as an introduction, we have addressed verses that Imam Al-Ghazali did not select because he began his selection with verse 17. In fact, just simply part even of verse 17. And in that introduction, we have covered many verses that have a reference to natural phenomena. Some of it in the could be understood in the context of astrophysics, raising the heavens without pillars, observable pillars, and the mountains being described in the Quran as anchors, as in the different contexts, as pigs like what you use in general to fix tents through ropes to the ground, and this is we and the tectonic plates of الأرض قطع متجاورات. So verses 2, 3, and 4, and other verses referring to reproduction. In verse 8 about the each female and what she has and what her womb could have and or not, the increases and decreases in the wombs. So in general, that introduction could be described as addressing these signs in the universe and also in our selves. In today's session, we will go ahead and talk about these verses that Imam Ghazali selected. We have 17 to 22 and then 26 to 29. Hope that we'll be able to cover these. And as I said, 17 it's only a phrase. Part or the very last part of the verse, كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال, and which immediately necessitates the addressing that which came before that. This is how Allah sets forth parables. What parables? Then we go back to 17, and in fact more than this if you would like to understand. Verse 17, at the very end of verse 16, there's a phrase there. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم قل الله خالق كل شيء وهو الواحد القهار. Say, Allah is the creator of all things and He is the one, the supreme. And of course in the context of that verse, the parable is the analogy, if you will, is that of the seeing and the blind, mean darkness and light. قل هل يستوي الأعمى والبصير أم هل تستوي الظلمات والنور. This is an analogy to belief and disbelief. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of everything, absolutely everything in the universe, every created, and there's only one creator. Every created thing in the universe has a set term. All accidentals exist in uh, space and time, and one might think that this it's relative to the life of a bee. We live, the average human beings lives very long. Bees could live up to 2 weeks, for example. Um, but relative to the age of the universe, no, our life is very short, relatively speaking. But even when we speak about the age of the universe, even if it proves to be literally these billions of years, there's a way of calculating this. You just simply calculate the speed at which the galaxies are distancing themselves from a specific point in the universe. This is why we have the idea of the or the theory of the Big Bang theory. You can calculate that, and for a long time, the astrophysicists spoke about 13.6 billion years. Now they speak about 26 billion years. But that number divided by infinity is zero. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything. Now we do have more specific examples of the created things. أنزل من السماء ماء فسالت به أودية بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زبدا رابيا وما يوقدون عليه في النار ابتغاء حلية أو متاع زبد مثله كذلك يضرب الله الحق والباطل فأما الزبد فيذهب جفاء وأما ما ينفع الناس فيمكث في الأرض كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال. He sends down rain from the sky, causing the valleys to flow, each according to its capacity, each valley according to its capacity. The currents then carry along rising foam, scum, similar to the slag produced from metal that people melt in the fire for ornaments or tools. This is how Allah compares truth to falsehood. The worthless scum is then cast away, but what benefits people remains on the earth. This is how Allah sets forth parables. One could imagine valleys, creeks. There are valleys that come to life, if you will. They overflow with water. It's seasonal. This is why it says sail. My understanding is usually the temporary. So you have rain, and the valleys flow with water, and then when there's no rain, after a while, these valleys dry up. And if you think about it, because it is followed by mentioning the al-haq wal-batil, right, truth, and falsehood. There is an ongoing tension between right and wrong, between truth and falsehood. The form described here, the image of the form, it's that which serves no purpose. It will go away. It will not benefit anyone, and that which is beneficial to people will remain in the earth. Since this is a parable, كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال, this is how Allah sets forth parables, then there must be another meaning. In tafsir, Ibn Kathir, in the exegesis of Ibn Kathir, he mentions these valleys. He mentions the water, but he immediately says that this is a signal, this is alluding to the hearts. The valleys are the hearts, and they differ. Some of these valleys will, some of these hearts, of course, will can accommodate plenty of knowledge, and some of them does not really have the capacity for much knowledge. In fact, it's too tight for that, and that's exactly what people have in their heart. Um, in their hearts, they might not, and sometimes one might say, "Is it possible? Is it possible to expand your capacity?" I would say, if one understands the Islamic worldview, Quran and Sunnah, right, then one could expose oneself to that knowledge. The barrier is from within. There are sometimes limitations. Not all people have 100 and an IQ of 140 and above. 160, definitely that, probably fewer people, of course. But if we speak about understanding the message, understanding, because one could read, for example, about these valleys and the flowing water because of rain, and one could simply stay in that realm, in that image, and not understand that there's a reference to the hearts and knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so uh, there's some verses of poetry attributed to Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah. He used to frequent with others. He used to frequent, it seems, a shepherd by Wakia, a spiritual guide, though Imam Shafi is a scholar and a very distinguished scholar in Islamic jurisprudence and beyond. So he complained to Wakia in these verses that of his inability, though it has been said that Imam Shafi would memorize. He did memorize the Quran at a very early age, but it seems that he complained about some difficulty, some hardship, remembering what he has already remembering. And Wakiye guided him by advising him of abandoning, staying away, distancing himself, protecting himself against sins. And in the second verse, and he informed me that the knowledge of coming from Allah, meaning through revelation itself as the Quran, which is which is what is mentioned in the first verse, is a light. Here we remember that we have in verse 16, but also one could find references to light and darkness and light. So the knowledge coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of revelation is a light, and the light of God will not be gifted to a disobedient servant. So this is why one could improve his hair stance by giving up on. When we talk about sins, it doesn't have to be a grave sin, of course. They have said that uh, no grave sin, which is described, of course, as a kabira, a grand, big. If you repent, it's not going to remain uh, uh, that big, and there is that which is a minor sin, if you will, would not remain minor if you insist on that. So repetition is also problematic. Uh, so cleansing the heart. So there is a reference to that these valleys could absorb. Not all of the valleys could absorb. Not all valleys have the same capacity for rainwater. Each according to its capacity, these valleys, causing the valleys to flow, each according to its capacity. And thus we also, this is a parable, and our hearts will have the different capacities. That which is beneficial, that which benefits people, will remain on the earth. Those who respond to the call of their Lord will have the finest reward. للذين استجابوا لربهم الحسنى. والذين لم يستجيبوا له لو أن لهم ما في الأرض جميعا ومثله معه لافتدوا به أولئك لهم سوء الحساب ومأواهم جهنم وبئس المهاد. Those who respond to the call of their Lord will have the finest reward. As for those who do not respond to Him, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if they were to possess everything in the world twice over, they would certainly offer it to ransom themselves. They will face strict judgment, and hell will be their home. What an evil place to rest. So when there is we said that there is an ongoing tension between right and falsehood, truth and falsehood. But falsehood will not be, will never have the upper hand. One might describe it in the language of fights, battles, whatever. Falsehood might win the upper hand temporarily, tactics, but will never win over truth, will never be victorious compared to truth. It will go away. And one better understand this in this life, for if not, then those who reject the truth knowingly, because of habit, because of interest, personal interest, people who choose to be on the side of wrongdoing, wrong ideas, wrong schemes, falsehood. And these things, it's not only theological falsehoods. This will translate ultimately to falsehoods in politics, and we are witnessing at this time in history so much falsehood. Rather than those who claim to subscribe to freedom, it's more like free doom that they export to the rest of the world. They claim They subscribe to fraternity amongst human beings, but they discriminate and they are racist to the bones. Equality and absolutely there is no equality, and the gap between the rich and the poor is absolutely beyond imagination. We are not communists. We are not. But the idea is that you are taxing the poor and the rich do not pay taxes. What a model for economics. And if you think about we said that this battle, this falsehood, it's in the realm of politics, and it's in the realm of in theology, it's in the social order. Look at the history of humanity through and through has been advocating a family that is a union between man and woman, male and female, and out of a sudden this changes. And they allow, because this falsehood goes into the laws also, they allow legalize marijuana, they legalize euthanasia, they legalize gambling, they legalize same-sex marriage, they legalize sperm banks and ovum, where people do not know their siblings, and sometimes because the donors, so-called donors, they donate so much, people don't know. They could, in principle, one day marry a brother or a sister, depending. They legalize so many things that it will never be the case that God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would never, there has never been revelation to allow any of the things that have been legalized. So batil also in these many laws, we cannot even exhaust. And batil goes also into the scientific narrative. By scientific, just put it in parentheses, because it's not scientific per se. There's plenty of literature about the theory of evolution that is absolutely pseudo science. Richard Dawkins himself, when there was an interview with Richard Dawkins describing the life of those aliens in another parallel universe where there's a globe like ours and people living there, and he started talking about their way of life, and he's supposed to be an atheist, someone who restricts himself to science, and this is not even pseudoscience. That's not even myth. Okay, the whole interview is, it's just nothing. It has no place in science, so that's also batil. And you can see how now the haqq is going to be the antithesis of all of this, and it's going to be quite a role for Muslims nowadays to lead really the struggle against batil, against falsehood in all these realms. It's not going to be an easy thing, because you have now billions of people subscribing to a way of life that is devoid of religion. People cannot even mention the word Allah, God, like the fire chief in Los Angeles who is, you have these massive fires destroying very large areas of Los Angeles in the United States and California. And in the interview, he was begging Mother Nature to give them a break. Can't you pray to God? But it's not fashionable. He cannot say, I pray to God, and it's not fashionable. So people cannot say that, but they can refer to Mother Nature. But Mother Nature is not mother. Mother Nature did not create you. It's not. It's a metaphor. Just simply ask the one who created you. Ask the omnipotent God to relieve you of what you go through. أفمن يعلم أن ما أنزل إليك من ربك الحق كمن هو أعمى إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. Can the one who knows that your Lord's revelation to you, addressing the Prophet ﷺ, is the truth, be like the one who is blind? None will be mindful of this except people of reason. There is one straight path, and there are many parallel ways. The Prophet ﷺ drew a line, and he made sure that his companions understood that this is the straight path, and he drew parallel lines, meaning these are alternatives ways of life. Say this is the ways of the disbelief, ways of shirk, any way that this distracts you from the truth. And this is an amazing thing when you talk about the blind here is not someone who lost his sight, his ability to see the physiology. This is not about this kind of blindness. This is blindness, meaning not recognizing truth. And this is why in the hereafter, one would those who will be gathered, resurrected, and gathered in the day of judgment, and they will be gathered as now in this life they choose to be blind in relation to truth. On the day of judgment they will be gathered blind, and they will ask God why he resurrected them, why he gathered them on the day of judgment in that fashion, blind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remind them that his revelation came to them, and you have ignored this revelation. You have ignored them, and we will ignore you on this day. There is a blind Imam in the city of Jericho in Palestine. He begins for many years. He is still living, I believe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his days. He begins every Friday sermon with reference to this particular verse in the Qur'an. قال ربي لم حشرتني أعمى وقد كنت بصيرا قال كذلك أتتك آياتنا فنسيتها وكذلك اليوم تنسى. So he's blind, but he knows that this blindness in this verse has nothing to do with the because his heart, this Imam's heart, inshallah, is illuminated, so he subscribed to light, while people who could see, they might subscribe to darkness, rejecting faith, rejecting revelation, rejecting, and some people might accept something, and they, because of weakness. Please don't be weak. Be strong. يا يحيى خذ الكتاب بقوة وآتيناه الحكم صبيا. Yahya alayhi salam was asked to take the book revelation, the way of life, the Islamic worldview in the universal sense, to submit with strength. They will not accept you when you give up something. You know who they are. Those non-Muslims who would like you to give up part of your religion. Those who advocate, sometimes they would like to remain within the world of Islam. They would like to remain Muslims. Inshallah, they will remain Muslims, but at the same time, they might subscribe to something irreconcilable with Islamic worldview. They say that they are progressive Muslims, and they would like, Islam to engage the other, meaning accept external elements that we cannot reconcile with Islamic worldview, such as homosexuality or same-sex marriage, or what is it that you would like us to give up? The scum, the form, that which is not of any benefit. That's really doubt. And what's beneficial, what stays on earth is certitude. Those people of reason, described in verse 20 as those who honor Allah's covenant, الذين يوفون بعهد الله ولا ينقضون الميثاق, never breaking the pledge, the covenant, الميثاق, the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, if we have a covenant with people, if we have a contract, if we have an agreement, if we have with people contracts, remember, I think at the beginning of Surah Al-Ma'idah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود, fulfill your contracts, fulfill your agreements, as long as these agreements do not violate any Islamic law, fulfill them. You have to. But in this case, it's really the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the pledge. والذين يصلون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويخشون ربهم ويخافون سوء الحساب. And those who maintain whatever ties Allah has ordered to be maintained, stand in awe of their Lord and fear strict judgment. والذين صبروا ابتغاء وجه ربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأنفقوا مما رزقناهم سرا وعلانية ويدرؤون بالحسنة السيئة أولئك لهم عقبى الدار. And they are those who endure patiently, seeking their Lord's pleasure. Establish prayer. Donate from what we have provided for them. Subhanallah, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, provides for us, sustains us, and rewards us when we just give part of that as charity. SubhanAllah. So they donate secretly and openly and respond to evil with good. It is they who will have the ultimate abode. They indeed, though verse 23 and 24 are not selected, let's basically read them, and this will be the end of this session, inshallah, and we'll get back to the second part, verses 26 to 29 in the next session. Verse 23 جنات عدن يدخلونها ومن صلح من آبائهم وأزواجهم وذرياتهم والملائكة يدخلون عليهم من كل باب. The gardens of eternity. عقبى الدار. The gardens of eternity, which they will enter along with the righteous among their parents, spouses, and descendants. This is beautiful, but also it's very sad if anyone is not included. Remember that son of Prophet Noah who chose not to be on the ark. Remember the wife of Sayyidina Lut alayhi salam, Prophet Lot. So sometimes members of the family, spouses, it could be parents. Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, it's his father. Remember, it's those who are righteous amongst the parents, spouses, descendants. And the angels will enter upon them from every gate, saying, Salamun alaykum bima sabartum, fa ni'ma uqba ad-dar. Peace be upon you for your perseverance. How excellent is the ultimate abode. Until next time, inshallah, subhanaka wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.